So I went to Saatchi, and I went to Saatchi because it was a great brand and because it was in trouble and it had global scale and it is the most famous name in advertising. So the first thing I did was says, we're not going to be in the advertising business anymore. We're going to reframe that. We're going to be in the ideas business because it isn't advertising that matters now. It's ideas because we live in the age of the idea. Ideas are the currency of the future. Wharton is an ideas factory. Okay, it's about innovation. The things that will make you win when you get out of here are ideas. We're all looking to get to the future first. And it's going to come from you. It's not going to come from the engineers who are not here. It's not going to come from the merchant bankers and the vultures, all these finance people that are in the other part of the building. It's going to come from you lot, the creative heart of the company. So let's look at today. Okay, what am I doing today, right? I'm a blogger. I've got a blog which I write every morning, which is fun because it connects me with lots of young people, lots of different people, keeps me connected. I was just talking to Pete. We live in a world where we have all become connectors and not directors. Okay, we're no longer directing, we're no longer manipulating, we're no longer steering, we're no longer doing any of that because consumers are way ahead of us. We're just connecting there with them. Our role as we got in life and business is to connect. So I am also the CEO in residence at Cambridge because I have a strong belief, which is why I'm here, that our future lies in the hands of bright young students like you, and that the role of business, I teach the MBA program there, and I teach them that the role of business is to make the world a better place for everyone. What have I learned? Number one, I told you about that. Ideas are the currency of the future. Ideas come from the edge. Every company you work for is designed to do one thing: kill the idea at birth. Not invented here, it won't work, you're too young, why should we listen to you, we can't afford it, it's not in the budget, yada, 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 yada. They're terrified of transformational ideas. They think a little incremental change is a big transformational idea. All right, ideas are the currency of the future, and ideas are emotion-based, right? Donald Kahn, a great neurologist, said that the difference between reason, which is what they're teaching you here, and emotion, which is what I'm going to be revolutionizing over, is that rational leads to conclusions, great academic conclusions. Emotion leads to action. Emotion's the way you win in our world. Okay, all the rational stuff is all table stakes. It's how we can understand, how we can explode your emotional self that will win. Third thing I learned, Tom Peters taught me this: fail fast, learn fast, fix fast. It's not the way we're educated, but it is the way it works out there now. You've got to fail. The only way kids learn to walk is by falling over and then fixing it, right? The second part's the most important part, though. Learning fast is kind of important. So get on there. Pursue failure. Pursue failure, right? Nothing succeeds like excess. Next thing, information and knowledge are table stakes. It is all about insight and foresight. You'll have tons of knowledge when you leave here. Everybody you go into business with will have tons and tons and tons of data, and it will all be the same. Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Nestle, Colgate all have the same data. They're all looking at it, poring over it, wasting their time, man. They're asking the same people the same questions and quantifying the same results. He who wins will be he who has insight and foresight. When you talk to many consumer companies, insight for them, they use it all the time, consumer insight. What they actually mean is an aggregation of the facts. There's no insight in it whatsoever. None, zero, because there's no empathy. It's all question-based, all research-based. As soon as you ask a person a question, what happens? She positions a porky pie. She tells you a lie, right? Because you've asked her a question. She goes, oh my God, how should I answer this? What should I say? What will it mean? Should I please him? How will it reflect on? It's all nonsense. You never get insight from any kind of formal research, whether it's ethnographic, whatever it is. It doesn't happen, right? All the current research thing where you pay fees and ask questions is completely flawed. If you want to know all there is to know about lions, go to the jungle, not the zoo. If you want to learn everything about getting insight, you have to work with, commune with, live with, feel with consumers. Not ask them bloody questions. And then from insight, you have to develop fantastic, creative, strategic foresight, right? If you're in the music business, you've been inundated with information and knowledge. Jobs had some insight and some foresight. End of the music industry. Good night. EMI and Sony Bertelsmann have got this much information. They know more about the CD market than anybody in the world, and who cares, because there isn't one anymore. But they're still compiling the information. Insight, foresight. We live in the age of paradox. And, right? When Scott Fitzgerald was talking about, you know, the ability to define a fine mind was that ability to hold two seemingly contradictory things simultaneously without going crazy. He was half right, but not completely right. The idea now is that you must absolutely explode both, not compromise. So the biggest issue CEOs say facing them today is work-life balance. Work-life balance. Okay? Edward de Bono works with us, the lateral thinking guy, and he said, well, man, there's no point being brilliant at the wrong thing. And that's the wrong question. Work-life balance is a dead issue. It is about work-life integration. Balance is about compromise, okay? I don't want you to compromise. You've got to live your best life every day. Yeah, you've got to be the best you can be at work, the best you can be at home, the best you can be at the community, the best you can be all the time. Forget this compromise nonsense, this balance nonsense. It's a really lousy concept. It's how do I passionately combine passion and harmony, so that I can get into my life and work into one constant flow of joy. I do it. Okay, you can do it. And I did it when I was at the bottom of the totem pole now as well. Okay, it's a mindset, right? I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to balance. I'm only going to do stuff that I'm passionately about, that I care passionately about, and I'm going to do that all the time. So it's about and. You do not have to compromise. Do not get sucked into this life-work balance nonsense. It's a really defensive attitude. Next thing I've learned is it all starts with a dream. We're just talking about, to Pete before, about mission statements and visions and all this, right? And I said, you know, Martin Luther King did not stand up and say, I have a mission statement. So if you go to work for a company that has a mission statement, have a good laugh, you know, and ask them what their dream is, because we're not going to buy into mission statements, because with mission statements you end up in Basra or Baghdad, and so we don't want them. What we want is a dream, okay, an inspirational dream. When I joined Saatchi, I'd never worked in advertising before, right, so I didn't really know what to do. So I'd met a guy called Norman Schwarzkopf before, who was a military commander in the original Iraq War. And he'd never been to war before, right? So he'd just been playing soldiers and whatever they do, and then suddenly had to go to war. And so I called him. I said, "We met. You know, I got it's not quite the same magnitude of problem as you had, but I wonder." And he said, "Yeah, come down." And he had a ranch at the time in Arizona. And I went down and we had a couple of beers and a burger sitting out in the back of the desert. And this is what he said to me, right? When given command, take charge and do what's right. That's it. We threw away our personnel manual at Saatchi, and that's the personnel manual at Saatchi now. That's what we got, right? When given command, take charge and do what's right. So when you get a job, you've immediately been given command. So just take charge and do what's right. And it's only what you can. The role of business is to make the world a better place. That's the last thing I learned. So those are the lessons.
You talked about the need to do things to change the world, to make it a better place. Can you tell us a little bit about the kinds of things that you've done that you're...
Yeah, how do you make the world a better place? First of all, by spending my time with the leaders of tomorrow. Okay, because I spend a lot of my time, I'm at the Judge, 6 days a week. I do 2 or 3 of these a year. So I spend my time with the leaders of the tomorrow, figuring if I can inspire you to have one idea, boy, that's going to have a great ripple effect. So that's the first thing. The second thing is everybody at Saatchi and Saatchi is given 10% of their time to work on pro bono causes that they believe in and make a difference. So that we are probably the most social agency in the world in terms of social causes. Third, I've just bought a company called Act Now that was on the front cover of Fast Company 2 months ago, and I've opened up Saatchi and Saatchi Sustainability, and we're going to turn our 7,000 people into a fully sustainable workforce. Not green, we're going blue. So our view is sustainability. We don't want to think green, we want to think about blue oceans. We want to think about blue seas, we want to think about blue skies. There are no limits, only possibilities. So I'm going to make the whole of Saatchi and Saatchi sustainable. That'll make the world a better place, because if I touch 7,000 people, they will all touch a minimum of 10. We're talking to Procter & Gamble and Toyota now about sustainability. The other thing I do is I have my own charity called Tyler Turn Your Life Around, which is for at-risk teenage kids. So every way we can.